everybody! So last week I taught an in-person crochet class and we made this cute little pumpkin with these baubles on it. Unfortunately it was a beginner's class and I think this was a little much for some of the beginners, but I promised them that I would show them how to make a pumpkin that was much simpler, that only needed the chain stitch and the single crochet. So I made this pumpkin to show them. I made some cute little spirals to put on this one, but this video is going to show you how to make this really simple, cute pumpkin. And if you want to put the spirals on it too, I'll talk about that a little later in the video, but I also have another video that shows you how to make these. These are really simple, and they also only need a single crochet and a chain stitch. If you're a little more of an advanced crocheter and you want to try this bauble pumpkin, I have a video for that too. And I'm about to put out a video for the history part of these crochet projects. We're going to talk about the history of Halloween. So you can put that video on and crochet and have something to listen to that is topic appropriate. So all I did to make this rectangle for our pumpkin is I chained on 27, and then in the second chain from the hook, I did a single crochet, and I've just been single crocheting all the way down and all the way back. So it will be 26 single crochets, then chain to turn, and then 26 single crochets, a chain to turn, etc. until you get the rectangle you want. You can make this as big as you want, as long as you want. This one's about 46 rows long, but as long as it's a rectangle, it really doesn't matter. So this is the easy way to make a pumpkin. All you're going to do is you're going to make your rectangle, and then you're going to fasten off here and leave a really, really long tail, like really long tail. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over long ways. You want the ribs to be going this direction along with your stitches. So we're going to fold it like this, and then I'm just going to whip stitch all along this edge with that long tail that I left. So here's my long tail. I've got a tapestry needle here, and I'm going to whip stitch that edge. So you can see I'm just picking up the very top of the stitches here, and I'm just whip stitching all the way down. Okay, so now I have this whole side stitched, and so if you pick it up, you're going to have just a cylinder like this. Okay, so now I have my cylinder like this, and if you don't like the way your stitches look on one side, you can flip it the other way. My stitches ended up looking like this on one side and like this on another. So I like this way better. Whatever you like the best, whatever looks the neatest. Once you get this cylinder, you're going to use this as one end of your pumpkin and this is the other. So we've got to cinch it up to make that pumpkin shape. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take, you're still got your tapestry needle on your long thread, on your long tail, and you're just going to start on a side and just weave it in and out of these top stitches here. Just like this, just in and out of these stitches. When you start to run out of needle, just pull it through. And you're just going to keep going around this whole circle, just in and out. Okay, then once you get back to your seam, you want to overlap a little bit, and you're going to pull that thread all the way through. It should be all the way around the top of your pumpkin. And so when you pull it, it's going to close that pumpkin up. You might want to shape it a little bit, kind of make sure it gets the right shape. So open it up a little bit, and then you're going to pull it tight like that. And that's going to be the bottom of your pumpkin right here. Okay, so just be careful not to pull so hard you break the thread. Just be gentle. Okay, you're gonna cinch it up like that. And that's gonna be the bottom of your pumpkin. So now that you have it tight, you're gonna take this and make a few knots in there to make sure that it kind of stays closed. So you can kind of whip stitch it closed a little bit and then do just a regular sewing knot. So just like this, kind of make sure it just stays where you want it to be, a couple stitches like that. And then for a sewing knot, you just kind of pull through, you leave a loop, and then you go through the loop so that when you tighten your thread, it's holding your thread down. Now you're gonna take this thread and your needle and put it back through the pumpkin. So you're just gonna go down through the middle. You're not sewing anything, you're just getting the thread to the top without leaving a seam. So you're just gonna pull it up through here, and you're gonna kind of put that thread to the side and put your stuffing in the pumpkin. So we've got some stuffing here. I'm gonna stuff my pumpkin. Make sure when you're stuffing it, you make sure this thread is staying out where you can get to it. All right, so I've stuffed my pumpkin. And now I'm gonna do the same thing around the top. I'm gonna stitch all the way around the top and pull it tight. Okay, so I'm back around to where I started. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna pull it tight. Now this here is the tail from when I originally chained on. And the nice thing about this is you can just stuff that in the pumpkin and not have to worry about weaving it in anywhere, because it's just gonna disappear. So we're gonna stuff that in, and then we're gonna pull the pumpkin tight like that. So we've got another little tiny cinching hole. Now this one we're gonna leave open a little bit so that we have room to put a little stem in there. So don't worry if this one's not fully closed. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do the same thing and make a couple of those sewing knots. Kind of see what I'm doing here, just to hold that where we want it. All right, make another one just so I feel good about how tight it is. All right, now this pumpkin has already got some ribbing because you naturally made it ribbed with that single crochet you made. So if you like it, if you're kind of done, you can stop and just do this. But what I like to do is I like to go one step further. I like to take this and wrap it around the pumpkin and try and stay in the ribs. And you're gonna wrap it tight like this. See how that's gonna make deeper ribs on the side here? So I'm gonna do that once, and I think I didn't leave myself a big enough tail. But I'm gonna wrap it around. Once I get it tight where I want it, I'm gonna make another one of those sewing knots to keep it steady. You can pull it real tight, just don't break your yarn, okay? And tie it tight like that. If you need another piece of yarn, you can start it off like this, just push it through like that. Pull it most of the way through. And then make another little sewing loop knot. So I have this tail that I can just stuff in here. And I'm gonna make a little knot like this. Now I think I got too much yarn. Just like that. Okay, so now it's tight. I can just stuff that little tail back in there. And I'm gonna do that 2 more times around the pumpkin so I get these little ribs. And don't worry, if your pumpkin looks oddly shaped at first, that's okay. It's just stuffing, you can move things around. So I did this one, and then I'm gonna try and do it in thirds. So maybe about here, wrap it around, stuff that tail in there too. Wrap it around, just make it tight. So now we've got even more little ribs. Like I said, don't freak out. You can always put more stuffing in it and shape it the way you want when you've got the ribs done. It's okay, because I know it looks kind of weird right now. You're going to tie it down, another sewing knot or two. And then you can take this thread one more time and do another third. So my other third should be about here. And that'll give you 6 little ribs on your pumpkin. Just like this. Okay, so I've got my 6 ribs. Now I'm going to take a minute and make my pumpkin a little better shaped. And you might need more stuffing, and that's okay too. So just kind of pull it. It's all movable. It's not a big deal. All right, here we go. So a little more stuffing, a little smoothing out of your pumpkin, and you've got it. Now, because we kind of stretched everything out to stuff it and move it around, you might need to put a couple more stitches up here just to kind of neaten things up and put your cinnamon stick in. So I'm just gonna throw a stitch here, kind of tighten it up a little bit. Throw a stitch here and kind of tighten it up a little bit. And it also helps kind of hide that yarn that you use to rib it with at the top. And as you do it more often, I'm doing it kind of quick today, but as you do it more often, you'll get a lot neater with it. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And then you're gonna tie it off like this. Just another one of those sewing knots. Just like that. Chop that off, and like I said, this one's easy. You just get to stuff it on in there. Okay, so once you get your pumpkin done, this one, like I said, I did kind of fast. You can be more precise about the thirds and keeping it in thirds so your ribs are the same size. But if you look at a real pumpkin, they're not all the same size either. So you can just stick your little cinnamon stick in the top. Now, sometimes it looks a little messy up here. If you don't like that, you can hide it a couple of ways. You can use some ribbon and tie a real pretty knot. I have this ribbon. It's all Halloween ribbon, but I wasn't in love with any of it to match this particular color. But what I did is I made a little curly Q for my pumpkin so that I can attach it this way and have little curly cues on top of my pumpkin. These are really, really easy to make. You can make just one and have like a little stem, or you can make more than one. I'll link the video to make these. They're super easy. All you do is chain and single crochet. So you can put that in your pumpkin and attach it in there with some stitches, however you want to do it. But this is the easier way to make a crocheted pumpkin without the bobble stitch.